How's it going, guys, and welcome back again. Just going to be doing the next part of the wheel rebuild on my works. Today I'm going to finally get to actually taking apart the wheels, getting rid of all the old silicone, taking apart all the hardware, and most likely putting the new lips on, putting them back together, and then torquing down all the hardware, resealing them with new silicone. And then after that, we'll have to wait about 24 hours or so before we can get tires mounted on them. That way we know that all the silicone's good and sealed and everything like that. But yeah, let's get right into it. And so for my wheels in particular, all the hardware on the face that you see here is gonna be a 8mm 12-point socket. And I have these special ones I got from O'Reilly's that are specifically made for this. And then the back is gonna be just a 12 millimeter nut, and we should be able to just take it right off. But what I'm gonna go ahead and do is flip this over. I'm gonna take this and just loosen up all the nuts first, and then I'm gonna go ahead and take this and just buzz them off a lot quicker. But this is a lot easier to loosen them up because my that in particular impact won't have enough since these are all torqued down to a certain extent. Alrighty, so now that we have all of those loosened up, I'll go ahead and flip it back over. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go from this side and grab onto the one I'm doing. It's just gonna buzz the nut right off. Now we got all those off, I'm just gonna gather them all up, make sure I don't lose any. I'm gonna just throw them in this little box I got here. And I know I saw a couple fly off here. Grab these. And that should be all of them. And so now, there's a few that are still on here. That should be all of them. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna flip it over and let all the hardware fall out. And some of them will stay in from the tension on the face, like this one, there's one here. So all I'm gonna do is flip it over here, grab this, and just loosen it a bit, and it should pop out. Oh no, I guess I'll have to screw it all out, but that's fine. Alrighty, now what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna move this out of the way a little bit, make sure I get all these pieces in the box as well. And one reason I like to use the small impact on the nuts instead of the hardware is because if you do it too much on the hardware, it's going to chip off the powder coating. Unless you just have like the stock ones that are, you know, just chrome or aluminum, then you don't have to really worry about that. But I have the powder coated ones, so I have to worry about that a little bit. Put that in there. Oh, and there's another nut right there. And now that this face is loose, I should be able to just push it out like that. And boom, there's our face. We can set that aside for now. And the next step is going to be removing some of this silicone here to get the barrel and the lip apart. So let me grab. I'm gonna go ahead and take just a little box cutter type knife. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go down where it's all sealed and just score a nice line in between. That way I don't get onto the lip or the barrel too much, but that way you can separate the lip. To separate pretty easily. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clean some of this up, get rid of some of the excess silicone on this. What I like to do to get a majority of it is take this and just kind of go like this at an angle, and you'll get a pretty good amount off. And once you get a good hang of it, you'll be able to just go around pretty much one or two goes and get a majority of it off. It should just peel out just like that. You don't have to do this first. I just like to. That way once I use the wire wheel that I use, it comes off a lot easier and it doesn't take as much time. But now we're going to grab the wire wheel and start taking some more of this off. And so I got the wire wheel on the drill, and I'm just going to kind of go around it, get all the excess off. There's not really much more to get off, but we want to make sure that there's no more on here whatsoever. Alright, and so we pretty much got all that cleaned up, and before I go ahead and put anything on this or put the lips or anything together, I'll wipe it down with isopropyl, especially before we put the silicone on, just to make sure that we have a nice bond for when it seals up the all three pieces. And now that we got all that done, I'm just gonna throw one together just to show you guys the whole process, and then I'll start on the other ones and do like a little time lapse of me finishing those. And then at the end, I'll most likely, I've ceramic coated two of these faces. You can actually probably see the difference between how shiny that is and how shiny that one is versus how dull that is. You can tell in just the blacks, but I need to ceramic coat those two faces. And then we should be pretty much good to go. But I'm gonna grab one of these lips and we'll start putting them together. Alrighty, so I got my one of the new lips, and I'm just gonna go around this real quick just to make sure we got nothing on it while it's alone. That way I don't get it on any of the other pieces because I don't need to. So just do this real quick. And go ahead and just wipe this whole edge down. Make sure there's nothing on there to prevent us from having a nice bond with this new silicone. And so I just got the face up in here. I just tightened two little bolts, one on either side. That way it's all in place. And now I can flip it back upside down. And I got my bag of new hardware here. And I'm just gonna start throwing them in all the holes. so now I got all the nuts started on the hardware, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go around and take the impact, buzz them on a little bit to make them all nice and tight. And then when I go ahead and tighten them, I'll do them in a cross pattern like you do lug nuts. Same kind of situation. And yeah, let's get started on these. And so I'm just gonna start by at least tightening them up, not all the way. I'm not gonna torque them or anything yet. I'm just gonna go ahead and make sure they're all pretty much all the way on, except for being torqued. That way I can do a nice cross pattern. That way it tightens up correctly and everything like that, and we should be good to go. After I did a little bit of crossing just to make sure I got all of them, and the next step will be kind of cleaning it off and getting it ready for some silicone. Alrighty, and we just wiped it off, and now what I like to do is just go around with some tape to make sure my silicone actually looks good. That way once we get the bead, I can take my finger, lay it around the whole thing, obviously with a glove on, and then peel the tape off, and it's a nice straight line. And there we go. We got it all nice and taped up, and it doesn't need to be perfect. It just makes it a little bit easier to smooth it out, and as well as the more you have on there, the longer it takes to dry and cure. So if we can minimize that with still having enough to seal it, that'll make it a little bit more efficient for us. That way we can bring these and get them mounted a lot sooner. But yeah, let me go ahead and I'm gonna put on some gloves as well, because I'm gonna actually just use my finger to smooth it out once we get it all laid on there. That way we can have it nice and thin but thick enough to have a nice seal. And we're gonna grab the silicone and just cut a little piece off of the tip. And I like to do a nice angle, that way I can rotate it and put it in there real nice and just kind of go around. And I had to cut it just a little bit bigger. It wasn't coming out too well, so I cut it a little bit bigger, but it should be good to go now. Now that I got a nice bead just around it, doesn't matter what it looks like at this point, but I'm just gonna take my finger and just smooth it out real nice along this whole thing. And I'm probably gonna have a bunch extra, but that is all right. I like to wait about maybe 2 or 3 minutes just to let it harden just a little bit, and then peel the tape off. That way it doesn't get all stringy when I go to peel the tape off. And once we wait for that, we'll be good to go. And while I'm waiting for that, I might just take off some of this excess just to make sure when I'm pulling off the tape, none of it stays on. In a few minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and peel up some of this tape. I can't really get it up too well with my gloves, so. we got both those off, and we got a couple little things around, but I'm just gonna go ahead and grab a paper towel and just wipe it up. And you don't need to, but I like to just to keep them nice and clean. That will go around, and I got pretty much a nice line pretty much around the whole thing. And yeah, and I just want to make sure I didn't get any. Yeah, I got a little bit in here, but that's no problem. We'll just go ahead and wipe it off. And lucky for me, I ceramic coated these the other day, so everything's gonna come off these real nice and easy. But yeah, so that's pretty much done, and now all we have to do is just wait about 24 hours before we get the tires mounted on them, and we'll be good to go. But yeah, now that I got the first wheel done, I'll probably finish up these next three either tonight or tomorrow morning. I probably won't film it just so I can crank them out real quick. That way I have the wheels ready for tomorrow so I can mount them, and most likely I'll probably dial in my fitment a little better. I was tucked in the rear, but I think with the new lips, I'm going to make it so when I air out, it's nice and fender to lip. It'll sit right on the lip. And I think that's about it. Take the spacers off the front. I had 1/2-inch spacers, but since I went a 1/2 inch bigger with the lips, we shouldn't need those spacers anymore. So we can take those off, and then we should be able to go get the tires mounted maybe tomorrow. I might wait an extra day just to make sure that the silicone's nice and dry. But yeah, once we get that going, then we can go ahead and dial in my fitment and get them back on the car. But yeah, so soon after this video, I'm gonna be going ahead and throwing or wiring up the new alternator on my SRT4. And that should be up and running right after that. I think that's all I got to fix on there, and then we can take it for a ride, and yeah. But if you guys have any ideas on any new videos or anything you'd like to see, like I said in the last one, just go ahead and let me know, and we'll definitely make it happen. But yeah, thanks you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one.